How's everybody doing? This is Uncle Chuck. I hope you're well. What do I have here? Well, this is a brand new miner, something that's come out in the last few weeks. Now, usually I don't unbox everything anymore because most of these ASIC miners all look the same. But given this is a new model and a miner that we actually don't have in either of our mining facilities, we're gonna crack this thing. All right, let's get this thing open. So, again, it's as you can tell from the packing, it's they taped the living heck out of it, which is a good thing. This has come directly from China, from one of the suppliers I deal with over there. And one of the things that I'll say is, if you're looking to purchase a miner, be very cautious. Obviously, when you're buying offshore, a lot of times it's better to buy from somebody that's in your own backyard, or at least in the United States. But anyway, here, I'm just trying to get this thing the heck out of here, and then we'll see if you can figure out what the heck this is. All right, dispose of this. Yeah, get this foam off. Kind of look, anti-static bags are very similar to the ones that Gold Shell uses, actually. Looks like I got this thing upside down here. Let's see what we got here. Jesus, heck in here. All right, so what do we have here? This is the new iBeLink. This is the BM-K3. This is their new miner. It is a Kadena miner, so you're mining KDA. They just started shipping them in the last few weeks, and we're kind of mid January 2023 at this point in time. So these are 70 terahash and or about, and somewhere around 3,300 watts. I purchased two of these miners, and I just set the other one up, but we're gonna go through the kind of the basic setup process and see how similar it is to some of the other miners that we have. All right, let's do it. Okay, so I thought I'd start things off and head over to iBelink's website, and I went to products and down to the BM-K3. So manufacturer specs below, and I wanted to talk just briefly about the price here. So obviously you can purchase direct from iBeLink. I did not purchase mine direct through them. I purchased from another supplier I've used for quite some time in China. And right now at the end of January, it is Chinese New Year. So manufacturers and suppliers are closed. And with our bump in crypto over the last week or so, when these guys reopen, I'll be curious to see whether or not this price goes up. But anyway, let's get into the specs a bit here. So we have a Kadena miner, so it uses the Blake S2 algorithm, hash rate approximately 70 terahash, power consumption somewhere around 3,300 watts, plus or minus 5%. So what we'll do is we are going to head over to ASIC miner value. So the miners we have at the top here are the most profitable miners based at the end of January 2023. So we'll scroll down to the iBeLink BM-K3, and what do we see? About $14.85 a day profit after the $9.50. Now, if you scroll down to the bottom here, ASIC miner value uses 12 cents a kilowatt. So if you know what you're paying, enter it in here, and you are going to get a much better idea of what your profit's going to be if you choose to purchase one of these. So the next thing we're going to do is log into the dashboard of our miner and get this new iBeLink BM-K3 up in mining. So you are going to need an IP scanner. There's a number of them out there. They all work very similar. You want to scan your home network or wherever your miner is and get that IP address. Put it into the taskbar, click enter, and you're going to come to a screen that looks just like this. Under username, you want to put iBeLink. Under password, you also want to type in iBeLink. If you happen to forget this, it's actually on the side of the miner. Click login, and that is going to take you into the dashboard. Up here, this little red button, click on configuration. The first time you log in here, and this is the way it is with a lot of miners, and both of these iBeLinks I purchased were the same. I had other stratum address information here, probably from the supplier, could have been the manufacturer. Here nor there, you're gonna wanna delete that information right away. Below here is where you're gonna wanna put in your pool information. So for this example, I'm using F2 pool. So I put in the stratum address for F2 pool. Right in here, next to that where it says pool user. Now this is dependent on whether or not you're using a pool that you have a password or a username, I should say, that you log in. This here is my username to log into F2 pool. But if you don't use a username, you're probably gonna put your wallet address directly in here. Next to that, pool password, I'm just using an X for the example, but I recommend putting something in here. Click add pool, and this information is going to populate. You should start to see some activity. If you look to the top, we have some hash rate. Obviously, we are connected to the pool. Now, all of the information below here, you don't need to worry about. But what I am gonna mention, what you're gonna notice is here it says low power mode. With both of these miners that I purchased, my firmware was out of date and there was no low power mode. So what you're gonna do, you're going to take a look right here at the bottom where it says firmware. If it's anything less than 6.0.7, you're gonna wanna update the firmware. And to do that, simply, you're gonna head back to iBelink's website. You're gonna click on support here at the top. Over here on the right, firmware and tools. And over here to the left, you will see the current firmware. And at the end of January, it's 6.0.7. Exactly what I have on my miner. Click download and head back to your miner, and wherever that file is on your computer, you just want to click select update file. Make sure it is the file you just downloaded from iBelink's website, and click update miner. Now it'll take a couple minutes and your miner will reboot, and you will notice once you log back in at the bottom here, you should see the revision has changed. So you will also notice that there is a low power mode. We'll talk about that in a minute, but next to that, we could kind of move on. Okay, we are over at Antpool. So what I wanted to do is stop the video to be able to check the profitability of these iBeLink BM-K3. So I started off with F2 Pool, and I decided to move both of my BM-K3s over to Antpool. And the reason being, I don't have any other Kadena miners here, and I wanted to be able to have a really good gauge for us to take a look at profitability, hash rate. So as you can see, we've got both of my BM-K3s connected. One of the miners is over at my other mining facility, and this one is here. And as you can see, we've got a little bit of a blip yesterday because our power was down just for a short period of time. But let's take a look at the 24-hour hash rate. You can see they're supposed to be around 70 terahash. We're just over 70 here, just under, but these have kind of been ping-ponging and they've been really close. So let's take a look at our earnings. So when I first connected both of these miners, we've got in here the 4th. So let's take a look at that daily combined terahash. So 132, so it's all very similar next to this day, which we are going to scrub because one of the miners was down approximately an hour. And the same thing with our earnings. So this day we're going to scrub. So let's go first back to February the 4th when we first connected both of these. So as you can see, 132, all very similar. Now let's take a look at earnings. So when we started, 30.1, 30.2, 29, 28, 27. So what we can see is that our earnings have gone down slightly. Now, what can I attribute this to? Well, if we head over here, the ant miner, the KA3, that we've all been waiting months for, finally started to ship in the last couple weeks. So as we've seen these come online, the Kadena hash rate is started to climb even more than it has been over the past few months. So if you've been mining Kadena like I have for a while with all of our gold shell miners, you've seen this hash rate start to skyrocket even prior to all these Antminer KA3s coming online. So I do anticipate that this is going to continue to happen here. So overall, what is my opinion after kind of running both of these iBeLink BM-K3s? They've been pretty consistent, solid. I haven't had any issues with them yet. Would I recommend them? Well, you know what? I think, again, any of you guys have been mining Kadena for a while, the hash rate continues to skyrocket, so you're gonna have to weigh that out. For value, I mean, I think there's still a decent miner price-wise, considering the second most efficient Kadena miner at this point in time. So again, depending on what you purchase them for, again, I still think they are a decent buy if you want to mine Kadena. Again, not financial advice. There's tons of information out there, but all in all, I think they're a fairly solid miner. So before we go, I wanted to head back into the dashboard of our miner and just talk very briefly about the low power mode. So right here at the bottom, you will see 2 low power mode. So I'm not going to play around with this a lot. I've already experimented, but simply put, if you want to have, as it says, low power mode, more efficient, you're going to have less hash rate and less profitability. All you need to do is click on here. It's going to tell you change mining mode will restart miner. Do you really want to change to low power mode? If you choose to go and move forward and do this, your miner will restart and it will do exactly that. Your miner will be in low power mode. You can play around with it. Again, if you want to go back to the original higher hash rate, all you have to do is come back here and it will give you the option. The same, click on it, your miner will restart and you will be back in the high hash rate. So all in all, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like the video, and we are going to be back with you soon. Peace out.